Hello, everybody. Britt, Ghiroli, Erik, Kratz, Todd Frazier are here with me. I'm so glad that AJ isn't here because I feel like Kratzy, whenever he's on the show, all that he does is make fun of me for allegedly pulling for the Orioles, a team that I covered as a beat writer for 10 years. So I know that Todd's going to be much nicer to me, and this is going to go much smoother than earlier this month when I filled in for Scott Braun, the incomparable Scott Braun, who I'm filling in for today.
Yes, we will be nice, even though I thought they should have traded all their prospects away a couple of years ago, but that's all right. We'll be nice about it.
I agree with you. AJ thinks I side with them and drink like orange Kool-Aid in my house. I don't. I
Yes,
totally agree
yes,
with that. So,
yes.
here we are, though. Plenty of other news in baseball, right? As we head down the stretch into practically June. Going on here with you. Tweet at us, hashtag FT Live. Get some merch at the Foul Territory show. Rep the show if you can. We've got a lot of baseball stuff going on, guys. We got some great guests coming on later on in the show. We got Pete Alonso. We've got Ken Rosenthal. We've got Phillies manager Rob Thomson. We're going to get to a lot of things. But first, let's charge the mound. Let's see what's really going on here.
Charging the mound.
Big trade, guys, today for the Dodgers, who really need some bullpen help. They're acquiring a reliever, Alexis Díaz, from the Reds. Diaz, of course, former All-Star closer, but hasn't been able to find it as of late with Cincinnati. Was in AAA, really struggling to find that form again. Certainly, I think the Dodgers are just hoping to take a flyer on a guy who has been productive in the past. The Dodgers have, a rotating carousel. They've had a ton of injuries this year. Their kind of de facto closer, Tanner Scott, 3 blown saves in a row, a lot of injuries. And I didn't realize this, guys. They've picked up the most bullpen, the most relief innings they've pitched in the majors, almost 240 innings already. That can't continue either. I like this move as a kind of a flyer move. What do you guys make of getting Alexis Díaz? And could he benefit from, the Dodgers always being so cutting edge with analytics and, finding things similar to the Rays and having guys kind of maybe turn their career around here a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's a great move as well. I think thinking back on when Alexis was really good, he was dominant. He's taken after his brother a little bit, but he is still a really good pitcher. I think a change of scenery is much needed. There's a lot of guys in baseball, like you see trades go on, you're like, that guy probably should have stayed at home and might not work out, and it usually doesn't. But it's a change of scenery. It's getting acclimated with new managers, new coaches, new analytical processes, and maybe they find something in him that nobody else could see. So, what can hurt? He was in AAA and, not doing so well. But, in the back of your mind, once he is right, he's a really good pitcher. And I think the Dodgers will help him with that. And I think it's a really good pickup.
Shocker. The Dodgers pick somebody up, and in a month from now, he's going to be, filling in for whoever's not going to go to the All-Star game. Like, it's one of those things that they do because they have the ability to give guys a runway. Some teams pick up Alexis Díaz and they go, we need you right in the closer role. Tanner Scott hasn't been doing well. We need you. His last 3 games, we're panicking. The Dodgers don't need to panic. As much as they've had a ton of innings from their bullpen because their rotation is decimated by injuries, you also sit there and you go, what do they see? What is it that the Dodgers see that the Reds don't see right now that he's not doing or that he did more of when he was successful? It's not it could be a big trade because it's the Dodgers. If the Rays had picked him up, you'd also be like, what do the Rays see? It's just about finding that value. But for the Dodgers right now, it's all about finding innings. They need to find 9 innings a night because, like I said, they have injuries not only to their starting rotation, but their bullpen. Blake Trinan, Evan Phillips, Brusdar Graterol. I'm thinking, I think Kopech's coming back soon, but these are monster dudes in this pen that they just don't have right now. So they need arms.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, Diaz, as you mentioned, Todd, the brother of Edwin Diaz, Mets closer. So, you have to feel like when certain teams pick up a guy, Tampa Bay's this way too. They just signed Kyle Gibson. I look forward to him having a sub-3 ERA in about a month. And people who said that, he should retire, all of a sudden I'm sure he's going to refine himself. So it does feel like maybe you guys can speak to this as players, but kind of a shot in the arm when a team like that picks you up, right? Like this is your chance for them to maybe tweak something, for them to see something, for you to add a grip or add a pitch or change the way you go about things a little bit and resuscitate your career. And certainly it should feel like as a player, when LA trades for you, you should feel pretty good about that, even if you've been struggling, even if you've been in AAA, I think. And this isn't the first time that these teams have traded. In fact, they've made a lot of trades, it feels like, between these two teams. Todd, you do a bunch of stuff for the Reds. It feels like certain teams, I was talking to an executive yesterday, just really mesh with teams. The person I was talking to was from Detroit yesterday and said, we're always talking to Texas. We made a bunch of trades with Texas last year at the deadline. It feels like the Reds and Dodgers are similar and that they have a lot of pairing. You got the Gavin Lux trade, of course, that happened. You go back to 19 when Cincinnati got Kyle Farmer, Yasiel Puig, Matt Kemp, Alex Wood. And that trade, of course, helped the Dodgers later trade for Max Scherzer, Trey Turner, because Josiah Gray was in that package. So it feels like these two teams kind of have been in a lot of communication, really get along well. And it feels like the Dodgers here are trying to fill a need as they try to get healthy. 5 of their top right-handed relief options, as Kratz said, currently injured. That's not going to be that way forever. But if they can find a guy to get Diaz back and get him into the fold as they get healthier, that bullpen can slowly become a strength again from that right side.
And it's about comfort. When you're talking to teams like, hey, man, it's me again. We're looking at one of your guys. Like, talk to me. And then, you could work with them. And, hey, man, you rub my back, I rub yours kind of deal. And, usually it works out. And, going back to the Kyle Gibson, it's about, getting rejuvenated. I mean, usually, you're traded like, you're upset that you leave a team. But a guy of his age and his caliber to go to a place like Tampa where they make subpar pitchers into elite pitchers, he's got to be really excited. And, I played with Kyle for a year in Texas. The guy is an upstanding gentleman. He's a great dude. He's a leader, and he was going to take any criticisms, any attention to details, and he's going to run with it. And maybe we'll see another, second gear on a Kyle Gibson.
One last thing with Diaz, his slider is the coup de grace for him. It's the pitch. Like, he throws enough fastballs to keep him off the slider. His velocity on his slider, and I know guys don't really talk about that much, is down 1.5 miles from last year alone. And you sit there and go, can the Dodgers pump that up? Or are they going to say, hey, if you throw it more this way, because the Dodgers aren't the only ones that have information like what I just looked up. You sit there and you go, okay, we're just going to have you throw it more. That's usually what ends up happening. You go to a team like this and they say, hey, we're just going to up the usage of your best pitch and see how that works out. Up it from 45% to even like a 60 or 65%.
Yeah, absolutely. And elsewhere in baseball, guys, some good news, I think, no matter if you're an Angels fan or not, is that, we've got Mike Trout returning tomorrow. He's expected to be activated. Reports out of Anaheim. I think that the team told a bunch of the players there that is the plan. He has been sidelined since April 30th with a bone bruise. I think anytime Mike Trout is out, it's bad for baseball, bad for the game. But, certainly when you look at last year and you just look at the last 4 or 5 years with him not being able to stay on the field, you have to hope, if you're the Angels, that this is it now, that he's going to kind of play from June on here. And I think they're going to be even more careful than they have in the past about his playing time, about, taking days to DH, about making sure that lower body is right. So that they can kind of avoid what has been like a lot of leg issues, a lot of back issues, things like that. So Trout should be back. It'll be interesting to see what they do in terms of playing time, how they find that middle ground between getting him going, because the Angels need him to win, and also preserving him, which they really haven't been able to do. And really nobody has been able to figure out how to do that since basically COVID. So hopefully he's back. Do you guys think we could ever see a healthy Mike Trout, like a full Mike Trout now from, let's say, June 1st until the end of the season? Is that an impossibility at this point with his career and kind of the miles that he's already put on?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough as you're getting older, and he's a bigger guy. He's very strong looking. He hits the weight room hardcore. Maybe it's time just to ease up a little bit. Knowing Mike and talking to him, he loves the game. He wants to play for a long, long time, of course. But at the same token, maybe it's something they think about, maybe giving him a DH here and there, maybe putting him in a different position. I want to see him. I want to see him play a lot more. He was on track to break all these records, and there was talks about being one of the greatest to play. He's going to go down as one of the greatest to play for sure. But, what at the token of what? We're going to play center field 24/7. No, I think maybe it's time to move him around a little bit and put him in a position to where he can play, 130 to 145 games. And I think that would be just enough for him as he moves forward in his career.
Well, we know that right field is going to be easier than center. They already made that decision. They blocked him. When he comes back today, he should be coming back playing DH. You watch what they're doing with Ronald Acuna, much younger player in Atlanta. They have some DHs open, but they want him to play right field. Is that the same route that the Angels are going to go? Are they willing? Do they feel like playing right field is going to put him back on the IL? If so, Jorge Soler is going to have to get out in the outfield. And I know they don't want to see that, but this is a guy you have to have in the lineup. I get it. I think he was hitting 180, 179, something like that before he went on the IL. He's going to hit around what he hits. He hasn't dropped off so significantly much that it's going to be impossible for him to return to an all-star form. Maybe not an MVP form, but an all-star form. And that's what you want. That's what you want to see your legacy players do. And that way he can start getting after those records that Todd was saying, because he's still got a lot of time on that contract. You got to figure out how to get those legs under him.
Yeah, I know when I visited Angels camp this spring, that was like all they talked about was he's going to be in right field. We're going to really take it easy with him. But he's got so many miles on him, guys. I do wonder, is he going to be a player that we look at and we say, this was the best player of our generation, but towards the end, he was irrelevant? Like, nobody talks about him anymore. He's not among the top sellers in MLB jerseys. He hasn't been in the last 4 or 5 years. MLB Network this year kind of ranked him out of the top 30 players. Is he a guy who people have largely forgotten about because the Angels are irrelevant, because he hasn't been able to stay on the field? Like, are we going to look back and say, man, that was a generational player, and we kind of wasted the opportunity? No one really saw him play. His prime was out in Anaheim for teams that largely weren't very good. He's gone to the playoffs one time in his whole career. Are we going to look back and say, like, he should have been bigger? We should have done more with this?
Yes. I would say yes, just for the sole fact he's in the West Coast. And these Angel fans, they watch his show a lot, so I'm going to get a lot of heat for this. But I've been begging for his butt to get over in the East Coast. I don't care where it is. I even told him that straight up. I'm sick of not seeing the best player to ever come out of the Northeast, or one of the best players to ever come out of, the Northeast. Well, Jersey, I'll give him that. Best player to come out of Jersey. We can't even watch him, man. Who's staying up that late to watch him play? And the team's not doing well. So he knows I'm a guy like that, and I bust his chops all the time. It probably won't happen, but a man can only dream.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of, Jersey, the Jersey area, we're going to talk to Phillies manager Rob Thomson right after this, guys. So stay tuned.
Kratz, my pup was picky, not anymore with Spot and Tango Unkibble, and it is about 40% less expensive than frozen food. So we're saving in the wallet and we're making our pups happier.
Let's go apples to apples. I'm not cheap, but I don't want to waste my money on something that's good for my dog. This is perfect.
Yeah, they are very excited. Both Bella, Kratz's pup, and Penelope, my little pup, for Spot and Tango. You can get your pup excited too, and there's no more guessing how much to feed your dog either. Spot and Tango creates a custom plan based on your dog's age, weight, breed, and activity level. It's a nice little survey. So upgrade your pet's bowl with Spot and Tango Unkibble for a limited time. Go to spotandtango.com/foul. Use code FOUL to get 50% off your first order. That's spotandtango.com/foul, code FOUL for 50% off your first order. Spotandtango.com/foul, code FOUL.
Guys, some kind of sad news here. I know it's a business. It's a cold, hard business. But the Marlins have made a bunch of roster moves coming. This from reporter Craig Mish, who is down there. One of them includes DFAing Ronnie Simon, who people, if you aren't familiar, made a bunch of errors recently. Fernando Tatis was among the players who backed him as well. Guys, how tough is that to see for a guy who I think we all know has the talent to get demoted in the wake of probably one of the more embarrassing games that he's had as a professional. Matt Mervis, another infielder who's being designated for assignment as well. But you guys have both been there. You've been players. You're the greatest thing going 1 second. You're not the next. How frustrating is this for a guy like Ronnie Simon?
I would say very. It is frustrating because you're on a team that you can easily make it. It's one of those teams that, won't be in the playoffs. They're struggling right now, and it shows. And to put matters into the worst, you make a couple errors, and all of a sudden, one mistake here, all of a sudden you're getting sent down and demoted. So designated for assignment, it's tough. It's the worst feeling in the world. So I'm feeling for this guy right now, man. Things happen. Baseball is a crazy sport, so you have to be on your toes at all times, no matter who you're playing for.
I mean, Ronnie he's played 7, 8 years in the bushes since he was 18, and now he finally got his first call up, and he doesn't do real well. That's tough, but he'll get another shot at some point. He's got to stick with it.
All right, welcome back to Foul Territory. We are here with Rob Thomson, Phillies manager, who has taken time out of his busy day to talk to us. Britt, Ghiroli, Erik, Kratz, Todd Frazier. Rob, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me. Hi, guys. How you doing?
What's
Two
up?
former
Great.
players of mine.
Oh, geez, you got all the stories? Can you tell us all the quick? We only have a certain amount of time, Rob. You got.
Hopper, is KG holding the camera for you? I've never seen this. You're in that age demographic where when you call into the show, we're seeing up your nostril. KG holding the camera for you?
No,
you're
I got this newfangled computer, and there's a camera on top of the computer.
Topper, I'm so proud of you. Not just because you're hip, but because you figured out a way to change what was going on. All these managers this year are getting fired. You were there when Joe got fired, and you stepped right in. We talk about it all the time on the show. Did you change the message that was being sent, or did you just say, I'll just move one slot to the left, and now I'm the manager in the dugout?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened. I do know this, that, it was the 1st of June when I took over, and the month of May was probably the toughest month as far as our opponents were concerned. And then the month of June was probably the easiest month of, as far as competition was concerned. We just got on a roll. And I think, anytime you have a managerial change or a head coaching change, I think you'll see a spike in wins and performance for a little bit, and then usually the team falls back to where they were. Well, we had a pretty easy schedule, and we just got on a roll, and everybody got confident, and we just rolled through the year.
Can you talk a little bit about baseball? You were an assistant coach for a while. Now you're a manager. The ebbs and flows of the game, which I think people don't understand. You come out the gates, you're not where people and fans are like, oh, the Phillies, what are we doing here? They're blaming everybody else. But can you talk a little about, ebbs and flows and how, some players come out hot, because you guys are doing it right now, but a little bit ago it was a struggle.
Yeah. And we'll probably go into another struggle at some point. That's just the way the game is. And it happens team-wide, and then it happens individually as well. And I think that most players have 3 or 4 times when they go through a season, as they're going through a season individually, where they struggle. And at any given time, you're probably going to have 2, 3, 4 guys in a lineup that are struggling at the same time, and then it changes back and forth. It's a fascinating game that way, and the people that that can handle it mentally and emotionally are the guys that are going to succeed, because it is so difficult. And I always tell my wife, and I always tell my kids, and I always tell my friends, the moment that I forget about how hard this game is that's when I got to go home.
Rob, you guys have such an interesting owner in John Middleton. I mean, I've been at playoff games where he's picking up balls after BPs, giving them to fans. Like, lots of guys will say we want to win. He proves it. He backs it. He acts like a fan, but he also spends like a fan as well. He's not afraid to say winning is important. This is our window. Like, I can leave another legacy to my grandkids than just money, right? Like, I want the Phillies to win. I want to have that championship. How much does having an owner like that kind of permeate down to your level and kind of maybe impact the culture of what's going on in Philadelphia?
Well, John's great because, I usually don't see him very much during the season, and he usually doesn't come down to the clubhouse. But his passion for winning is off the charts. He's as passionate about winning as any player or myself or anybody in the front office is. And, he is willing to spend his money, and he's willing to, to provide us with anything that we need to win. So there are no excuses here. He gives us everything, and I love it. And I was 28 years with the Yankees with George Steinbrenner, and very similar, except Mr. Steinbrenner got a little bit more involved on a day-to-day basis. But John's great. I love him. This organization is really family oriented, but at the end of the day, it's about winning a world championship, and he does a great job at balancing all that out.
We had Dave Roberts on, manager for the Dodgers, about this time last year, and we talked to him and we talked to Max Muncy once a month on this show. Are you guys able to talk, or do you talk about being a playoff team and not just a regular season team, in the sense that how are you going to make the adjustments that you weren't able to make in game 6 and 7 against the Diamondbacks, in the games where you were playing in the shadows against the Mets and the Mets were running a hot streak? Do you guys talk about that and say, hey, this is how we're preparing?
Well, I think the one thing that we talked about during the off season and in spring training is controlling the strike zone. That is the one big message, and that's not really just set up for the playoffs. That's set up for on a daily basis to hopefully get us there, and that works on both sides of the ball, from on the mound and at the plate. So that's the one big message that we've talked about, and I think our guys have done a really good job at it. During the season, my biggest focus is today in this series that we're going to play, because we got to get there. And so, we play 52 series every year, and I tell the players and staff every year, if we win 30, we're going to get in. So that's our goal. We got to win 30 series. And once we get to the playoffs, if we get there, then we'll start talking about that. But right now, we got a game tonight against a really hot Milwaukee Brewers club, and we got to take care of business.
You guys talked about the strike zone and understanding and controlling the strike zone. How soon was it that you noticed that the ump zone got a little bit tighter, the buffer zone? Supposedly Major League Baseball told everybody, but not everybody knew at the same time.
We knew, because we knew that we had the ABS system in spring training, and luckily in Florida, almost every game we played was under the ABS system. So, and I think it got people locked into not just the players, but the umpires as well, locked into the strike zone, and gave them a pretty good reference as to what's a strike and what's a ball. And so I think, in particular for us, I think it helped us quite a bit, because that's what one of our goals was. So, I really think that was part of it. I think part of it is our hitting coaches and how they stressed it in spring training and throughout their drill work and post-mortems after games and things like that. And I think our guys doing a pretty good job at it.
Rob, we had Ruben Amaro Jr. on the show fairly recently. He was talking about how Bryce Harper, comes back so quickly, how he's just a guy who doesn't bruise or swell as much. And when I covered the Orioles, Buck Showalter used to always say, well, this guy's a fast healer. Is there credence to that? Are there guys who are faster healers than other guys? I know Bryce works hard. I know that factors in it as well. And do you really feel nervous, or do you have like the sense of maybe throwing an elbow guard at him so he can put it on when he's on the when he's up there at the plate now, or what? How nervous does that make you?
Yeah, I think everybody heals at a different pace. It's just probably in your DNA. I'm not a doctor, but and every time Harp has had some type of injury, he seems to come back fairly quick. So, and we haven't seen him today, so I don't have an update today. But I'd like him to wear an elbow guard. You can't force a guy to do it, because I think one of the reasons why he didn't wear it is he felt just maybe a little bit restricted by it. So we'll see where we go once he gets back swinging the bat.
I want to ask a little bit about Jose Alvarado. How have you guys been without him on the mound a little bit? You don't have to dive deep into the situation, but that trust factor too as well has got to play a part in it too, I would assume.
Yeah, and I said from the get-go, it's a loss, no doubt, because at the time that we lost him, he was one of the best relievers in baseball. But I think we have the arms here and the stuff here and the makeup here, to pick up the pace and pick up the pieces, and guys will step up and get it done. And so far, so good, knock on wood. But yeah, Jose's a loss. But I tell the guys all the time, you can only control what you can control, and worry about only about what you can control. And you got to keep moving forward in this game. I love Jose. He's a great person, great pitcher, but we don't have him right now, so we gotta keep moving forward.
You talked about getting the team through today, but part of a manager's job is to making sure you're fine for tomorrow too. How often or how much do you fight back against that? I don't have one here, but the bullpen card that you have. Like, I get it. Hey, you know what? This guy's not throwing 3 days in a row. It's what it is. This guy can't. How often do you have to fight against it? But do you fight against it more than the pitchers fight against it?
Well, I make out my own bullpen card, so
I don't fight
against,
special.
I don't fight against I've been doing it for a long time, and my number one goal is, obviously it's to win, but we got to keep people healthy, and we got to give them the proper rest, and at the same time, get them into games enough to keep them sharp. So there's a balance you got to strike there, and it's on my mind every day. And I think I give the pitchers more days off than they want. Let's put it that way.
So they want to throw and you don't let them play. I get it. You take the ball away from them and they don't get to play. But you're not equal to – that's the bullpen guys. Yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, Wheeler said, hey, is it too late? Is it too late? Head coach Rob, if I throw game 2 instead of game 1, and you told him, you know what? You do whatever you want. You're Zach Wheeler. I don't think you ever go to Orion Kirkering and say, Orion, you're Orion Kirkering.
I didn't tell him that. I told the media that.
Oh, you didn't tell Zach that?
I said, well, I had called Zach, and I said, which game would you like? And he said, the day game. And I said, fine. And so I called our media people, and like 2 minutes later, he called back. He said, is it too late to change it to the night game? And I said, no, it's not too late. I'll just give him a call back.
So there's nothing to it. There was nothing where, you know what, he saw Sale and he's like, I want to go up against the reigning Cy Young so everyone knows that I'm going to win the Cy Young this year.
Yeah, I don't know what the reason was, but because I didn't ask him, but I just know that he called back almost immediately and asked to change it to the night game. So there's no problem.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Rob. I look forward to when the Phillies are in the DC Baltimore area hearing all the off the record stories about Kratz and Todd here from you. So
Yeah,
book a little time
I'll
for
tell
me.
you in person. I'm not telling her over this thing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rob. We
All
appreciate
right.
it.
Take care. See you guys.
Awesome. Guys, coming up next, we are going to get into a potential injury for the Braves. AJ Smith-Shawver being placed on the 60-day IL. What that means for Atlanta. Stay with us.
FT fam, you might have a boring, old, crusty, unpretty razor, and it might be expensive. So, AJ, should they consider another option?
Look how cool this is. Look at the color scheme. Look at it. Little sheath to hide the blades when you travel. Works great. I've been using this for a couple weeks now with Harry's. Clean, no bumps, no cuts. Works great. And you know the best part? It's a great price, especially if you use the foul territory code, Scott.
That's right, harrys.com/foul. Guess what? You can also get yourself a no-risk trial. So if you don't like your shave, no worries. It's on Harry's. They're not worried about it. Get the edge on your shave with Harry's. Normally, the trial set is $10, but right now, you can get it for just $6 at harrys.com/foul. Use the exclusive link, harrys.com/foul, for a $6 trial set.
All right, news out of Baltimore, guys. The Orioles play Cedric Mullins on the 10-day IL, right hamstring strain. Really unfortunate. Not only is Mullins probably going to be a guy that's going to get a lot of trade talk here as a pending free agent, but he's been a rare bright spot for the Orioles. He's consistently been pretty good for them. I'd say outside of Jackson Holiday, he's been really the one guy for the Orioles that has been able to put it together at the plate in what's been a disappointing season. So disappointing, in fact, that we know that they fired manager Brandon Hyde. Well, now news from yesterday, our Ken Rosenthal reported, and the team announced officially today, John Mabry is joining the team as a senior advisor, basically overseeing, kind of like the boss now of the hitting coaches, is how I took it, which is interesting, right? You don't often see these moves being made in season. Here we sit at the end of May. What can he do, if anything, for the big league club? Or is this just a matter of getting a guy in place now to make wholesale changes in the winter?
I honestly don't know.
I stunned you both.
Yeah, listen, these kind of moves, it makes you wonder, like, what is going on. Yeah, they're struggling ever since they fired the manager. I mean, Brandon Hyde was a beast, awesome manager, awesome guy. And they kind of put the blame on him, which I thought was wrongfully so. He's an absolute stud of a manager, and hopefully he gets back on his feet somewhere. I just think they're trying. They're really trying right now, so we'll see how it goes.
All right, guys, really unfortunate. 60-day IL for Braves reliever AJ Smith-Shawver. Whenever you hear elbow and 60-day IL, we kind of know we don't have an official update, but we know where this is going, right? It's not good. It's probably surgery.
Not good,
probably season ending.
Especially when he said he felt a pop. Normally, a lot of these elbow injuries, it's like, I didn't recover well, I had extra surgery, or I had extra swelling, and you have like the whole strain, whatever, the flexor strain, and then they try to rehab from it, and then eventually it turns into TJ. The move to go immediately on the IL and then immediately to the 60-day within a day is ominous. Obviously, we're not doctors, but it's tough, especially for a guy who's really kind of a raw young pitcher, only starting to pitch his senior year of high school and coming into the big leagues. he's barely become a starter, and he's really a guy that's stepped up recently with the injuries and then the re-injury by Strider, who's now obviously back. But they need this. Everybody needs starting rotation help, but this is a huge loss. It's also a huge loss for a really young pitcher who I was expecting a lot of great things, because he was just learning how to pitch and still succeeding in the big leagues.
And at the end of the day, have been struggling. They haven't been the Braves team that they've wanted. They have Acuna back, but still they're not exactly where they want to be. A long ways to go. Seems like you get somebody back and you take, what's the old adage? Take one step forward, two steps back. Unfortunate. There's nothing else people can do. It's not like they did it on purpose, but love seeing this guy pitch, bro. He's a beast. So hopefully, it's good news, but when you hear these things, it's not really that good news.
Yeah, no, not when you hear 60-day IL. This isn't like hey, let's go take a week off, hope it cools down, unfortunately. So, again, nothing official, but likely it looks like it's probably some kind of surgery, probably a season-ending thing. The Braves are in trouble. I mean, they got buried pretty early, guys, and when you get buried that early, you have to go on a long run to reverse it. It's like that old adage, like, you don't win the division in April, but you can lose it. And for the Braves, I think people have been waiting on such a talented team to go on a run, and it does feel like they keep getting crushed with injuries. Though it's not all bad news there, of course. Chris Sale last night in his start became the fastest MLB pitcher in history to 2,500 strikeouts. So what Chris Sale has been able to do, I think, has been certainly a bright spot. He's had such an interesting career. You look at this here, Randy Johnson, always good when you're mentioned with Randy Johnson, previously held that record. The way Chris Sale has been able to kind of turn around his career a few years ago, he's always been a high strikeout guy. He's always had that stuff. So, I think that at least there's a little bit of a positive there, a really cool stat for the Braves, a really cool kind of thing for Chris Sale as his career continues to be just top end. I think, you look at Atlanta, and like, as you guys mentioned, with some of the injuries, having Sale healthy, having him productive, having him strike guys out, that's when he's at his best.
It's crazy when a guy like this was pretty much done and buried with the Red Sox, got traded to the Braves, and then the Braves extended him. Red Sox fans were like, this is definitely not going to work out well. No way that guy has anything left. Cy Young, the only blip on his radar, the only blemish last year was the fact that back just retched up and got tightened up right at the end of the season there, and he didn't need to throw in the play-in game that they played, essentially their game 162 rain-out doubleheader thing on the last day, but then he wasn't able to throw in the playoffs. So this guy, we had him on about 2 years ago, before last season, and I asked him if he sees himself as a Hall of Famer. And he said, no. If Mark Burley is not a Hall of Famer, no, I don't think so. We had him on again. And these numbers, like the way that he's racked up strikeouts, I know he still has some, the 3,000 strikeout plateau would be a stretch, 500 more, but if he's found something in this last year when he had his resurgence that's able to keep him on the field, he has not shown signs of regression here from his Cy Young year.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring that up. I got asked the same question if he was a Hall of Famer, and I did say no, but at the end I was like, let me go back to that real quick, and I was just looking up some stuff. I'm like, I could be wrong here. I do. I think the Cy Young was the biggest thing that kickstarted him to be on that other end of the line there, the other end of the spectrum. But when you think about it, it's the best of the best, and him to do it this quick, I mean, he's got to be one of the best to be talked about as a big, strong left-handed pitcher too. So when his career is done, we'll look back in more numbers and we can talk about it, but he's an absolute stud.
Yeah, I think he's just underrated because he's not flashy. He doesn't like the attention. He's not a huge media guy, right? Like, so I think sometimes we forget how good he is. And I think if we're talking about Cy Young's, as we sit here, it's not June yet, but he's got to be in the conversation. And I think right now, if the season were to end, you give it to Skubal. What he's been doing. We're comparing him to Maddox after his last start. So I don't think there's probably a pitcher in baseball you would take over Skubal. But you go down the list, and I think, if you're filling them out, Chris Sale is on your hand, right? If you're filling out who you want to pitch for you right now, he's in that top 4 or 5 for sure.
I mean, I would say right now in the NL, the 4 that I have, and I think Sale is probably 4. It's probably Zach Wheeler, Yamamoto, and Skeens. Is Skeens going to get like the sympathy vote, or is he going to have is he going to push his ERA down below a 2 again? Is Wheeler going to get bounced out because he goes 7 innings and he's given up a couple more runs because he wants to stay out there? He'll probably lead the league in innings. And if Yamamoto continues on the track that he's on right now, I think it's his award.
Well said. That's very, very hard to choose right now. Got a ways to go.
Not to get on a soapbox, but as a BBWA member and a voter, it always annoys me that we don't prioritize enough the innings, like the Wheeler. Like for the last couple, I think it was a couple of years ago, we were talking about this. I forget who the pitcher from Milwaukee was that was up for it, but
Corbin Burns.
We were just talking about like how Zach Wheeler's so good, but he gets penalized for going those extra 50 innings. And I wish there was a way to kind of rectify that a little bit, because certainly keeping your team in the game and saving the bullpen, that's maybe not something that we can quantify with a stat, but it matters, and it matters to the guys in that dugout.
Does matter, but if you're only out there for the time that you're dominating, that's all people remember. They're not going to sit there and go, well, had that guy stayed out there for one extra inning every game, he wouldn't have had quite as good of a career. It's like, what? No, like you only can judge what was out there, and Burns had quite a few less innings, but his numbers looked a lot less flashy. I mean, a lot more flashy than Wheeler, who I think he touched 200 some innings, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And he missed out. I think by the time the season ends, Wheeler wins it. That's been my pick from the beginning in the NL. But man, he's doing some stuff. And they're going to skip some starts. He's not going to have as many starts because the Dodgers are all about that, load management to be able to be healthy for game one of the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it was Corbin Burns. How did I forget? Like that guy from Milwaukee. What was his name? He was really good.
It was different teams. You sit there and you go, oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that was one of the best rotations in the game. Oh yeah, they had the Rolaids relief pitcher, now the Trevor Hoffman Award winner for like 5 straight years in the bullpen. Those teams, they could pitch. They could throw the ball. Woody, Freddie, Burns. Now Burns is on his 3rd different team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you guys. So yeah, we coming back, we got a lot more baseball to get to. We got a lot more things going on here on this show. We got Pete Alonso, but first we got something pretty cool for you guys. Right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul and use code foul. We'll be right back. We're going to preview the Yankees-Dodgers series, a little rematch from last year's World Series. How will it go this time around?
The weather is warming up, and with that being said, you need to check out what Rhoback is bringing to the table. If you're a golfer, especially, and you're looking for golf shirts that just have the perfect style and also are soft, they're lightweight, and perfect for the summertime, Rhoback is the spot. Of course, FT's hooking you up with a code for 20% off at rhoback.com. That's FOUL on RHOBACK.com for 20% off all shorts, hoodies, polos, and more.
A little more news. Tampa Bay Rays have reinstated outfielder Jake Mangum, left groin strain from the IL, and they optioned Chandler Simpson to AAA Durham. So a little roster move there for the Rays as they try to get a little bit healthier here. What's so interesting to me about the Rays, guys, is that every year we're like, oh, they're not going to be very good. And every year they're kind of pesky and they kind of hang around. And I feel like I look at their certain elements like their bullpen, and it's like Pete Fairbanks and a bunch of guys I've never heard of, but they just always get the job done, right? Like every time we're talking about Tampa, I'm usually Googling the player beforehand because I haven't heard of them. And then I usually look at their stats. I'm like, they're having a pretty good year. And that is Tampa Bay in a nutshell.
Yeah, imagine if they would actually spend and add to that all that mediocrity that they have. They could be a really good team. Imagine if they went out, Stu Sternberg went out and wrote a check. But Chandler Simpson getting DFA'd, the guy had 123 at-bats, 19 stolen bases. He had 35 hits. So that means, the way I look at it, he had 19 doubles. Would they look at it differently if he had 19 doubles and 0 stolen bases and all the exact same numbers? Or is it just time for him to go down?
Yeah, I think that's fair. The way to look at it. I don't. As you mentioned with Stu Sternberg, I think the ownership situation has to resolve there for them to ever willingly become a team that gets out of the bottom 5 of payrolls, right? Like they operate as a very small market team. Part of that is a function of their market, but part of that is also a function of ownership. And I think, with all the stadium drama that they've had and, some of the reports about, Sternberg and whether or not MLB wants him to stay on long-term as an owner, to me, there has to be a fundamental change there before we're ever talking about Tampa Bay as a team that's not just smarter than everyone else, but also cooler. All right, guys, we got a big series. We got Dodgers, Yankees rematch, the World Series rematch in May. A little bit different than it was for the World Series. Kratz shaking his head already. This is going to be what? What do you got?
No, I was shaking my head because before the break, you said we have a little rematch. You said little rematch. Yankees and Dodgers. Little rematch. Like this is like
Goliath. It wasn't even close to a good series. It wasn't like it was this heated 7-game thing.
Look, this whole segment is sponsored by MLB Rivals. Yes? This is a rivalry that the Dodgers just threw gasoline on by their comments last year. And it's a little rematch. This is the only chance because we don't have like the rubber match, the cage match. We don't have another game that they could have played in the World Series. They beat them soundedly, and then they talked about it. They chatted about it while drinking some booze, and now even Chris Taylor is not even afraid of what he said. He hasn't gone back on his statements. To me, this is more than a little rematch. This is an opportunity for the Yankees to be like, you know what? You guys did get lucky. You know what? We did make some errors. But we are the better team. So to me, it's a huge rematch.
Better team. They were not even close to the better team last year. All right, here is the huge MLB Rivals Foul Territory preview show extravaganza. Let's start again.
Much better.
All right, guys, look at this, courtesy of Sarah Langs. If and when, let's assume that the lineups are what we think they're going to be. They're going to have Judge, Bellinger, Goldschmidt facing off Ohtani, Betts, Freeman. Be the first time in history the game has had 3 former MVPs in each lineup. That is star power. That is pretty remarkable. Kratz, your take on the Yankees being the better team is about as good as your mustache, which is not good.
It's below average. But I didn't say they were the better team. I said the Yankees have a chance to show they're the better team. But I can't believe this tweet by Sarah Langs, like, the fact that 2 of the teams that spend the most money have 3 former MVPs in their lineup? Of course they do, because they're the only teams that are willing to spend. They're the only teams that are willing to get together the best players. Everybody had a shot at Goldschmidt, and based on how much the Cubs wanted to get rid of Cody Bellinger, everybody had a shot at Cody too. Yeah, you had to pick up his contract. Yeah, you had to deal with the fact that he had a down year after the year prior, 23. But it's two teams that want to win the World Series, and it's so refreshing because there are others in the league that could care less about winning, and it's proven because they don't go out and get the guys to supplement the lineups that are decent lineups.
All right, let's do a little tail of the tape here for this huge, huge rivalry. Let's get into who would you guys rather have at first base? Paul Goldschmidt, Freddie Freeman.
Right now, Freddie Freeman for me.
Every day, all day, even when Paul Goldschmidt won his MVP. Freddie Freeman's the guy. Freddie Freeman's going to be a Hall of Famer. And if you're talking about just today, yeah, Goldie's doing awesome. But if you look at the last month, what Freddie's doing, coming off of slow start to the season because of that ankle injury, he's up there. Freddie was up there with some of Judge's numbers, hitting over 400 during that span, driving in runs, and just putting together ridiculous at bats. He hasn't lost a step, Freddie Freeman, all day.
The only step he's lost was going into a shower. That's the only step. But we can move on.
That ankle isn't that great. I don't know if we could say he hasn't lost a step, considering his ankle was held together by tape and glue during the World Series. But whatever, I'll give you guys that. Let's move on to second base. Who are we going with? Miguel Rojas? Tommy Edman? DJ LeMahieu? I don't know why LeMahieu is on this. He's not going to be playing every day. He's 30. No. They got to kind of keep that guy in bubble wrap and hope he can help when he can help. He's 36. No offense, guys.
He's playing better at second. LeMahieu's playing better. When he's out there, he's playing better. His bat's not going to return to the same batting title form, American League, National League batting title winner. But, come on. Miguel Rojas? No. Tommy Edman, Tommy Tanks. To me, I'm looking at this guy as a guy who could have a huge series this series. Look at all the huge at-bats that he had last year after he came over from the Cardinals. I guess the Cardinals just didn't need a guy like this. The Dodgers were like, oh, yeah, sure, we'll take him. Easy. The guy can play center field. He can play a Gold Glove second base. We even plugged him in at shortstop. So if you're putting Tommy Tanks at second base, I'll take Tommy Edman.
Well said. Well said. I agree. I wish Jazz was healthy. We could have been talking. Maybe a little different scene, but Tommy Edman is the real deal. Love the way he plays the game.
All right, let's go to third base. And we got Kike Hernandez, Max Muncy, or Oswaldo Peraza.
I'm taking this one. I'm going with Oswaldo Peraza on this one. He's been playing well when he gets his time. He's a solid little third baseman, and listen, from what I've seen right now, the guy can play the game, and he's up for whatever. He's a utility guy, and he will back this team up and go. Whenever there's an injury, he steps right in. Is he going to wow you? No, but he's a good defender, and he's been playing the game the right way. I think I just lost Muncy and Kike kind of taking a step back a little bit, but Kike is, the playoff guy, especially against the Yankees. But I'm going Peraza by a little bit.
I'm taking Muncy and Kike because they're going to be put in situations to have success. The Dodgers are going to put them in the lineup when the matchup is favorable to them. And you know what? Max Muncy started out slow this year. He is about to get hot. The dude he falls into 30 homers a year. He is a fastball masher, and Kike, they're not going to overexpose Kike at third. So I think this is just a case of Peraza's just filling in at third. I think the Yankees are looking for options. Jazz is playing third down in the minor leagues, or is willing to play third. Whether he does or he doesn't, he's willing to. Unlike Glaber wasn't willing to play third last year. Jazz wants to do what will help the team. His quote, not mine. And I think Peraza's days are numbered at third base with the Yankees.
All right, guys, we got shortstop. I think I know which way you guys are going. Can we say anybody over Mookie Betts right now? Poor Anthony Volpe gets the short end of the stick at shortstop. You got to go Mookie, don't you? It also doesn't matter where you put this guy. He's a difference maker. We could have put Mookie. I know he's playing shortstop right now, but He's been in so many different positions too. It's just unreal. What a cool little card we've got up here on the screen. I would love to hear if anyone has an Anthony Volpe take that he's somehow you would take him over Mookie Betts in this present moment.
No,
Wait, you don't want Gold Glove at short? You don't want Gold Glove at short? Like, it's your primary position. It's your premium position. I mean, are we discounting that, or are we just saying, you know what, Mookie Betts is just gonna hit, and he's gonna be the Mookie Betts of all the MVP, MVP candidate, all this stuff. Who has a higher WAR at this current point?
Volpe.
Volpe has a higher WAR, so thank you very much. I'll take Anthony Volpe. Sorry, Mookie.
Wow, didn't think either of you would go that way.
I'm being a contrarian. Mookie Betts is the better player.
Exactly.
Currently, Anthony Volpe is a very underrated piece of this Yankees team, and he brings value in more than just his torpedo bat hotness.
Yes, I will say this. Anthony Volpe has gotten a lot of hate in previous seasons for not immediately being this star. And very quietly, he has put together a really nice start to this season. I feel like he drew a lot of ire from Yankee fans last year. He'd make errors in critical things, or, offensively, he wasn't the guy in stretches. Anthony Volpe has been very good. Still not taking him over Mookie Betts. I am curious what you guys have here in center field, though. Tommy Edman versus Trent Grisham. Trent Grisham having a really strong start to the season with the Yankees. Much better offensively than he has been at prior stops. For a little while, guys, it was like him and Judge were the only ones that were doing anything offensively. So kind of curious where you guys sit with this one.
Yeah, he just needed to get in his own comfortability. Honestly, New York's a tough place to play. Came out struggling, and he didn't play as much. And I think Booney came out and even said that. I needed to play him more. And now look what he does. Gold Glove, he's making plays left and right, smooth as silk out there, and he's driving the ball again. It's a definite for me, Trent Grisham.
I mean, if you're taking an everyday center fielder, you got to take Trent Grisham. He has gold in center. Tommy Edman has gold at second base. So that's why I picked Tommy. I can't pick Tommy for both positions. This isn't high school. This isn't the high school all league honors where kids are winning first team at different positions. No. This is Trent Grisham. He has earned it. He was a good player in San Diego when he played a lot. Got traded over in the Juan Soto deal. Sorry, Trent, you were not better than Juan Soto or G in the lineup, and he rotted on the bench, and now you see the types of numbers he's putting up. I think he's going to maybe regress a little bit back down to the mean, like Kyle Glazer said yesterday on the show, but you're still getting Gold Glove defense, which is so valuable.
Fair. All right, let's go with left field. Left field, we got Michael Conforto, or are we going with the Martian on the Yankees side? Are we going with Andy Pages, the Dodgers? It's a little bit of a platoon there. So I'm really curious as to how you guys are gonna rank this. It's easy with the stars. When you get a little further down, you're like, what are we doing here? Are we going with the Yankees young stud? Are we going with some of the more veteran guys? What do you guys got?
I'll let the Yankees everyday analyst take this one, and then I'll just tell him the right answer.
You're annoying. I'm going with the young pup. I'm going with the Martian. You've seen some spurts of really good at bats. You've seen some up and downs, but he's still trying to find himself. If we're talking defensive wise, Kratzy, which I know you're going to bring up, yeah, that's trouble. But you got a switch hitter here, a kid that's up and coming, and he's still trying to learn that position. I'm taking him with a slight edge over those two guys right now.
I mean, the exact reason that those two guys are who I'm choosing is where Jason Dominguez has an issue. They can't really bat him from the right side. They can't start him against lefties. His right-handed swing has been lacking power. It's been lacking consistent contact. And all three of these dudes, somehow Pages is the best outfielder out there. So I have to take the Dodgers side of it. Conforto is interesting to me because he has had a incredible reverse split where he has been killing lefties. And early in his career, he was handling sinkers really well from righties. So it's interesting how they're going to use that platoon. and the way Pages has been playing, it might be a little bit less and less Conforto, and it might just be Pages' job. But as the Dodgers do, they're not just going to leave $20 million sitting on the bench in Conforto, so they'll have the opportunity to get in the lineup and really mix things up based on where Conforto's at. He started out hot. Now he's kind of struggled a little bit.
All right, let's go over to the other corner. Teoscar Hernandez or Cody Bellinger? Who we taking there? This is an interesting one, actually, in my mind. I don't know who I would go with. I think you can kind of flip a coin here. It depends on what you value the most. Which way are our two esteemed player analysts going?
I mean, I'm gonna take Teo, and it is a close match. This is the closest for me because Teo, what he did last year, how he fits into that roster, how he actually changes that lineup in the sense that he's able to punish soft stuff in the zone where the other guys, like a Max Muncy, when they hit back to back, when they're paired in the lineup, it's tough to navigate that part of the lineup because you're landing your breaking balls against Max, and then you have to be able to get the fastball by Teo. It's just hard. You never get into a rhythm. And I think what he adds to that lineup is ridiculous. And I think Cody's spot where he's at in the lineup is maybe the most important spot in all the American League from here going forward. Because if Ron Washington gave everybody the blueprint of what to do to Judge, it's like Garrett Cole did to Rafi Devers. Put him on. And if Cody steps up and continues to stay hot because he started out slow and he's gotten hot recently, then you're going to be seeing a lot more of throwing to Judge and not 4 wide because you can't pitch around him and expect that Cody's not going to do damage.
I will be nice and quick here. It is 50-50, but I'm going to give 0.1% to Teoscar because he won a home run derby. So that's it.
All right. Speaking of quick, if you're paying attention or scoring at home, we're skipping over the catchers. No one cares about catchers at all. Sorry, Kratzy. We're going to DH. Last one. Ohtani versus a guy named Aaron Judge. You may have heard of him. Which one are you guys going here? And is there a wrong answer? Probably not.
No. I'll go first since Kratzy's annoying sometimes. I'm going with the captain, Aaron Judge. He is an absolute beast. There is no wrong answers here. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I want the 6'7" guy up every single time of the day. One pitch away from winning a game, always. Not that Ohtani can't do that. I know he's going to pick him because he could pitch too, but he hasn't pitched yet. I'm going with the big dog, Aaron Judge.
I mean, he can't pitch when he's DHing, so no, I'm not picking Ohtani. Aaron Judge for sure. Aaron Judge on a historic run, and your catcher is Will Smith. That's why we went over the catchers. It's Will Smith. Will Smith
Austin
right
Wells.
now is the second best catcher in the game.
I'll take Austin Wilson.
Had to get that in there. All right, there it is. There's the extravaganza, the huge rivalry. Huge. Right, Kratzy? Huge series.
Thank you, Britt.
Yes, just had to give it its due. All right, guys. Log in now and get one Hall of Fame card from legends like Tony Perez, Tim Raines, Derek Jeter, Greg Maddux, Jack Morris, or Don Sutton in the MLB Rivals app. We'll be right back after a word from Bryce Harper.
In baseball, one thing defines your legacy: the Hall of Fame, a place reserved for immortals, the chosen few who have sacrificed, fought, and bled for the game.
Harper with a rainmaker!
With every swing, every play, every challenge faced.
Harper's not happy about that.
It's about achieving greatness that echoes through time. And now is your time to rise to the challenge, chase immortality, and become a legend. Download MLB Rivals.
Todd Father and I are from Jersey, so we're used to, oh, I got a guy. But sometimes that just means when I'm looking for a car, I go to Car Gurus.
Yeah, and I think honestly the best part about this is communication, which we love here in Jersey where we're from. And this is a place where you can get a car. The price drops all the time, and they let you know when your car is ready and when you can get it. The communication part is the best thing for me, Scott.
Agreed. In-depth vehicle reviews. Car Gurus will connect you with trusted dealerships when you're ready, ensuring a transparent and hassle-free buying process with over 4 million listings. They have more car listings than any other major online automotive marketplace in the U.S., so you can find the best deal. Buy or sell your next car today with Car Gurus at cargurus.com. Go to cargurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's CARGURUS.com. cargurus.com.
All right, a little news here from Minnesota. Byron Buxton activated off the concussion list. He's replacing Carson McCusker, who is optioned. Looks like Matt Woolner will return on Saturday. That is good news. Buxton back, guys. He's batting .261, .312, .522, 18 extra base hits, including 10 home runs. He hasn't played since May 15th. If you remember, he collided with Carlos Correa in, I think it was in Baltimore. Yes, it was, in a win. Baltimore. Correa was said to have gotten not as much of the brunt. He missed less time than Buxton did. I think they're also just always super careful with Buxton because, like Mike Trout, as we talked about earlier, the problem is keeping him on the field. Buxton is one of those guys. As he goes, the Twins go, and that's kind of been the case for a while, and it has not been going that great for the Twins right now.
Yeah, and they had that nice run. I mean, Kratz, you remember, I don't know how many games it was that they went on that run for, but it was a beautiful thing to see. And again, I love Buxton, man. He just got to keep his butt on the field, and you can't really take him out of center field. He's too fast and he makes tons of plays. So it's a guy you need out there. Happy he's back, and maybe this kick starts them back going again.
Yeah, he's, as my buddy Todd says, he's a beast. He literally is a monster. Like, he's bigger, stronger, faster. And so just getting 140 games out of this is key to this lineup.
Welcome back, Foul Territory. Pete Alonso, Britt, Ghiroli, Erik, Kratz, Todd Frazier here with you. Pete, where are you?
I'm in my backyard, so I'm going to be, right after this, I'm going to be heading to the yard.
Awesome. Thanks for taking some time. That looks like a nice, serene little yard you got going on there. Thanks for taking some time for us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's really nice. So it's good to, I mean, it's great vibes. We actually have a sunny day today. The weather's been very subpar in the Northeast this spring, so we're really excited that, and I'm personally excited that we actually have sun today.
Yes, I feel that, Pete. It's been brutal here in the Mid-Atlantic as well. Pete, I want to get right to it. It feels like obviously you had such a huge start to the season. The Mets did as well. It feels like some of the vibes from last year where, you kind of saw the culture and the turnaround and how much fun you guys were having down the stretch. It feels like a lot of that has kind of carried over to this season. I mean, is that an accurate read by me? Like, when you look at this team that really seemed to pull for each other last year, it feels like Carlos Mendoza has done a great job and the players as well in recreating that. Because it would have been really easy with some of those injuries you guys had early on to have a rough start again, but you guys came out of the gate really strong.
Well, to our core with this group of guys, I think we're just a resilient bunch. And for us, we know what it takes to kind of not just get to the post. I think we've done a great job at understanding our assignment every single day, because over the course of the season, what we don't want to let happen is complacency kind of set in. So like last year, all of us were kind of a little like, okay, let's not wait till a doubleheader on Monday when no one else is playing baseball. Let's kind of capture as many games early as we possibly can. So we've been really on it every single day. The front office ownership brought back a lot of the similar guys that were part of that successful chemistry, and I mean, it's the chemistry and and our talent that's really been the two main factors that have been keeping us performing, and also our pitching staff has been nasty so far. So it's been great. It's been great team complete win baseball.
I think you hit that perfectly. Coming in, you think about the Mets and what they got. They picked up Juan Soto, as you know, and the worry was about the pitching staff, but they have absolutely done their job. Kudos to the coaching staff too, as well, with the pitchers. I want to talk a little about the offseason, coming in. All you think about a little free agency, what's going to go on. And understandably, it took a while for you to figure out where you were going. Took a while to get, contract done. Nobody knows what goes on in your mind. Talking to you in the offseason a little bit, you're like, hey, everything's going to work out. I'm feeling good. And it did. Eventually it did. You're back with the Mets where I think, in my opinion, I think you wanted to go. But is there something in your mind right now? Like, since you're playing really well, dude, it's been fun to watch. Like, is there a little chip on your shoulder, or is it business as usual right now, knowing like, hey, I'm just going to attack the game like I know how to?
Well, for me, attacking every single day is the most important thing, because in order to on the day to day, you can't necessarily focus on the big picture. So every day, it's just do what you can, go 1-0 every single day, capture as many wins as possible. And for me, whether I'm hitting 3 or 4 in the order, I know that how I perform is going to have an impact on the team, and I want to be the best version of myself, because like going deep in the playoffs, playing that type of baseball is addictive. Like, I honestly, that's the ultimate, and in order to get back there, I want to be able to do my part. And I mean, that type of baseball, that type of run that we had last year, it's addictive, because for us it ended and it's like, man, I want more. We want to go to the next level. And collectively as a group, it's how locked in not just myself but every single guy is, and how focused everybody is to capture the most out of every single day. It's really been a tremendous group effort.
Did you learn this last year? Because everybody saw it's going to be your free agent year, and nobody knows what it's like to go into a free agent year until you actually go into it. And now technically you have another free agent year. So did you learn all this in your free agent year last year, where you said, no pressure on myself. I didn't get off to the start that I wanted to. Okay, maybe we'll go day by day. Were those thoughts creeping in during the season?
No, I mean, to be honest, like every year, I mean, it's the big leagues. Like, you want to succeed every single day. You gotta come with it. You got to be ready to attack, because if you're not ready, the game will expose you. And for me last year, I felt that um I just don't think my swing was in a very consistent place, where it's like there'd be some days where I had it, and there'd be some days where I was that could off mechanically, at bat to at bat, and day to day. So like for me, I think having a complete season is about just stacking good quality at bats and stacking good days where I feel like myself. I'm not trying to force anything, and for me, it's all. I think I've cleaned up a ton of I mean, no one's perfect over the course of the year, but I feel like I've cleaned up a ton of my mechanics. I feel like I'm way more efficient. There's less. There's way less extra movement. I feel like I'm just really efficient right now, and I think I'm in a really good spot day to day.
How much pressure is on Juan Soto? How much pressure do you feel? Obviously, it might not be words that he says, but when you have that type of contract, how much pressure do you feel like is on him to be something that he doesn't have to be? He just needs to be Juan Soto.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know, and I don't think anyone could ever put themselves in his shoes, because he's got the largest contract in all of sports, So that's, I mean, no one. He's kind of like on an island in that aspect, but I think for him, like he's all about winning, and that's the most important thing. Even though he's not having the necessarily the type of season he wants to have and he knows he's capable of, he's been very present. He's been, I mean, you see it every single day. He's so consistent, so level-headed, and that's what you want out of a superstar like that. He's the same whether he has a good day or a bad day. And for me, like, that's, Juan Soto is gonna rake. He's gonna have a great season. Like, is it uh,
Pete, from the woods? We might have lost him there for a second.
yes.
All right.
Oh,
You here?
no, I'll just kind of shorten up. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
hear
can
you.
hear you. We
We
got
good.
you. For those who aren't aware, we're on with Pete Alonso with the
Okay.
Mets. Pete, probably too selfless to say it, but Pete is on track to have a career year right now as we stand on on your current pace. You would have a new career high in doubles, walks, OPS, OPS plus, a bunch of things. But I don't want to ask you about you because I know guys like talking about other people more so. I want to ask you about Francisco Lindor, a guy who I feel like has kind of embodied who the New York Mets are. He seems to be the heart and soul of this team. You read about him going to guys' lockers. You see fans singing his, at bat song. What do we miss about playing with a guy like that? And what is he like to have as a teammate?
Oh, he's been great. I think the one thing, like, all those things you can check off the boxes, but the one thing that I respect and love the most about him, he shows up every day. He's the type of guy that's willing to strap it on no matter what. It doesn't matter how he's feeling, and he wants to play 162 games. Like, yes, you talk about the performances, and I feel like yes, he does connect, but I think the biggest thing for me is, regardless, it's in how he leads. Yes, he's verbal. um he says things, and yes, but it's the actions that I think carry the most weight. You see the way he get on video, and I just think that what he will get to 162 games, like, it's tremendous. He's always willing to go out there, and I love how he posts up, straps up every day, and just sends it.
I want to talk a little about family a little bit. You and Hallie are expecting a child, and I think that's beautiful. But my question to you, first off, congratulations,
Right.
because I know how many times I've bugged you
Thank
over the
you.
years. When you going to have a child? Let's go, start popping away. Let's go. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Hoping for healthy and happy. That's all I ask for you. Have you
Thank you.
found a room in the house? Have you moved stuff out of your rooms yet to get that room ready for your new baby, or what?
Yeah, we have. So after so we last October when the hurricane hit, we were kind of forced to remodel everything because we had Mother Nature install about a 2.5 foot saltwater pool in our house. So we, after all the renovations and stuff like that, we we definitely made space for the baby.
All right, Pete, I got to ask. Congrats, by the way, but I got to ask about something that was my nightmare when I played. My nightmare that I would have when I was playing, and it would wake me up at night, was I show up late for the inning. Now, as a catcher, they're not starting without you, but it was always like I looked down, I had the wrong cleats on, I had the wrong color socks on. So when you came running out and the first base coach threw you your first baseman's mitt, and then they called a ball on Senga. That was like my nightmare just coming to real life. And I'm sorry you had to deal with that. But what was going on, my guy?
Well, so the inning ended, and I mean, honestly, I had to. I mean, I think with, like, the clock now, it's really, really quickly. I didn't get a chance to use the men's room, and I had to taking number one, and by the time I knew it, I think it was like a minute 10 seconds. By the time I was finished and running out in the field, they got me on a pitch violation. So I was like, oh, sorry, boys. That's really it. It's not that deep.
It happens.
That's tough. Was it fair though? Did you plead your case? Were you like, look, like this is like, come on, guys. The pitch clock is for the time of the game, and they spent 5 minutes talking about it, so they delayed the game when they could have just been like, all right, here we go, Pete's back.
Senga struck him out anyway, so it all evened out.
Okay, that's fair.
Did you get teased a bunch, Pete, or no?
Sorry, what was that?
Did you get teased a bunch after the inning?
No. So I used in between before I got out, I had to. Yeah, that was it. So I mean, again, something stupid. Again, it is what it is.
Hey, listen,
Gotcha.
that's part. We've all been there in those situations. It's not stupid. That's just human nature. That's what happens. Sometimes you got to
You
run
gotta
in.
go. You gotta go.
If you want a piece of chocolate, or if you're hungry, you gotta, you're looking for something certain. Anyway, home run derby, dog. It's getting close. Have you been asked to do it again, or what's your thoughts on that?
No, I haven't been asked. I mean, I know Atlanta's a really great place to hit, but I have not been asked yet. But we'll see. Gotta earn to be an all-star to get there. So for me, you gotta keep hammering.
Yeah, I think you're on your way.
Pete, last question, then we'll let you go. But we were on with Rob Thomson earlier and asked him kind of about the strike zone. I'm wondering, as a hitter, does the way the umpires call the zone, how it's different this year, does that factor in at all? Can you let that factor in at all to your psyche when you're at the plate at all?
I mean, they're going to call what they're going to call. Like for me, it's regardless of what happens. As a hitter, you just naturally adjust. If the ball's over the plate, I'm going to swing. If it's not, I'm going to take. So, or if it looks like it's going to be a ball, I'm going to take. So that's see ball, hit ball. If it's in my area, if it's not, then I'll just take it. That's
Love
really
that.
all I got.
Yeah.
Love every second of that. I got my last two questions. Well, one's a comment afterward. Is there a guy on first base you have over there that's giving you some really good conversations? Like one where you walk away like, I didn't know that about him, man. Pretty cool dude. Or you're like, what the heck did we just talk about?
I mean, talking with Freddie, it's always really enjoyable. But I mean, yeah, a lot of it now, it's just like, hey, like whatever, hey, good swing, but that's about it. Nice swing. Glad you hit a single, not a homer.
Gotcha. All right. And then my last thing, my son is your favorite player of all time. He wanted to I told him you're coming on the show today. He said, simple, keep raking Pete. Don't stop. So I got to
Oh,
let
hell
you
yeah.
know that's what he told you. So keep going. Blake loves you.
Yeah. Blakester's the best. Tell him I said hello.
And we'll do.
Thanks so much, Pete. We appreciate it. We will make sure you get to the stadium on time, so we'll let you go. Thanks for showing us the backyard. Enjoy the sunshine, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on. Peace, guys.
All right, guys, Pete Alonso. To enjoy some more Mets talk, make sure you are checking out James Shiano and Mark Luino, Mets Up on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be right back.
Yeah, Pete, that like what Pete was doing right there, like the fact that it's 2:24 and he's still at the house. Never have I ever. Never have I ever. I don't know about you, Todd, but man, if I'm at the house, because we had some late show up days, and I would sit there and go, it's like, oh, we can't show up till 3:30. I'm sitting there, it's 2:15. My wife Sarah's like, just go to the field. I get it. Like, I know you had a late show up day, but Just go. It was like, okay, ready to go. Here we go. I'm I'm leaving by 12:30.
Hey, they had an off day too. I'm like, oh, no, all right. Hey, listen, I love where he's at. I got to be honest, I love it. He's calm, cool, collected. He's being himself, and yeah, I'm just gonna head over around 2:30. Got good. Probably get there around 3. Get ready. Right now, I love where he's at. I'm not changing a darn thing. If he's hitting like this and doing his thing, and he's showing up that time, so be it.
Get there around 3. Have you guys ever driven anywhere in the New York area on a Friday afternoon?
That's what makes me nervous.
Hey, wait,
Yeah,
he
ain't
might
getting
be
there
living
in
right
3
next to the
times.
stadium. We don't know where he's
He was in the
living at.
woods. Pete was in the woods.
Nope.
Hey, I thought he was in New Jersey. I mean, there's a lot of woods. I was going to ask him, but I don't want to let anybody know where he lives. But I'll be honest with you. I saw the woods in the background. I don't know in New York where that was. Maybe Connecticut. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Sure. Yeah, it probably wasn't a quick ride, but anyway, we appreciate Pete Alonso's time. Peaceful Pete out there meditating in nature, getting ready for the game. We've got some actual news here. Liam Hendriks, reports from Chris Cotillo, is headed to the IL. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of details right now on what that situation is. Just the other day, he wanted to play more, said he would rust quicker than he would burn out, but he does have a over 6.5 ERA so far this season in 14 games. So not really sure what the situation is there for a guy who has dealt with some injuries, has worked pretty hard to come back. We'll get a little more information on that if we get it here before the show is over.
Yeah, the mate. They need him, as everybody needs bullpen pieces. The mate could have been the closer, kind of lost that role or didn't earn it, whatever. Started out well, and then he started rusting in the bullpen. Some of that ERA got bumped up because he didn't pitch for 7 days, and then he gave it up, and then he didn't pitch for 4, and then he gave it up. Like, a little contentious. Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
Well, this is what Chris Taylor said. He said he doesn't regret saying anything about the Yankees, including that they, can we swear on this show? S-blank down their leg in the 5th inning of Game 5 of the World Series. So I'll let you all use your imaginations. This is what he told The Athletic. He said, I didn't think I was saying anything super critical. He also said, that's kind of how I felt about it. I didn't mean any offense. To me, it was just like I was kind of stating the fact. Guys, I'm going to call total BS on this. I know we can't swear on this show. We are very PC, by the way, if you were wondering. He knows exactly what he's doing here. He knows what he was doing when he said it originally, and he knows what he's doing now. And own it. If you're going to say stuff that's inflammatory, like AJ used to do all the time when he played, which is part of the reason why people who played with him on their team loved AJ Brzezinski. AJ Brzezinski, when other teams played him, I was on the beat on those teams, didn't like him, but AJ was who he was. And I feel like if you're going to say something and you're going to stir the pot, then you can't come back later and say, oh, me? I was just pointing out the facts. Like, no, you weren't. So just live with it. You started the drama, Chris Taylor. Deal with the drama. I find this kind of, I don't know what the right word is for it. I don't know. I don't want to say unnerving, but he just own it. Just own it. Just be who you are. And if people don't like what you said, that's fine. Don't now back down and say that you were stating facts. You weren't stating facts when you said that they were blanking down their leg.
Yeah, and from a guy in personal standpoint, I've done it when I was 9 years old in an all-star game, who literally happened to me when I was pitching. I know the feeling, so it's actually really happened. So for somebody to say that, it is unnerving. It kind of touches me in a different way. It hurts. No, but it's a true story. But at the end of the day, yeah, just own up to it. It was all good. It happened. They had a bad inning, and that was one of the main reasons why they lost that game. And that was the biggest problem they had last year, was the defense. And sometimes it was great, but a lot of times it wasn't. And yeah, I mean, I don't look too much into what he said. Honestly, it was he's on a different team now, and that's that.
I'm going to need more on this. more on this story with Todd. I mean, you actually that actually happened to you, and you wanted to play again after that. I feel like that would be it for me in baseball.
It was. Long story short, I was playing shortstop. We're up 6-1. Our best pitcher gives up 4 runs. I'm at short. I'm like, I can't hold it anymore. Just came out, boom. And now, thank God we had the tight straps on the bottom. And it was just, man, it was bad. Came in, I threw one warm-up pitch. Coach says, you all right? I'm like, yeah. One pitch later, 3-run triple. We lose 7-6. Ran right through. Everybody's crying left and right. We ran to the Porta-John, and my dad's like, what happened? I'm like, look at my pants. And he came in there, and he's like, holy cow. It was bad. I just wanted to go home. I wanted to go home.
You should have told Pete Alonso. It would have made him feel a lot better. Pete having to go number one, nothing compared to 9-year-old Todd Frazier.
I've heard this story 3 times now, and it makes me laugh every time. But I don't think what Chris Taylor said. I mean, I feel like he's standing behind what he said. Should he have been as open to what he said on Mookie's podcast? The rest of the team said the same thing. Now they put a mic back in front of their face, and he's like, I don't take any of it back. I don't regret saying it. So, I mean, he said it with his chest, and he continues to say it with his chest, and it's why there's going to be, in this entire graduation weekend that I have, these games are going to be on TV for me.
What do you got on that, Todd? To me, this is, I don't know. I feel like he didn't own it at all. I really don't. He's like, I didn't know it was going to be a big deal. Really, you go on Mookie Betts' podcast and you guys trash the Yankees and you don't think that that's going to be like a big deal or something that Yankee writers want to follow back up on? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think he owned it.
The fact that it's still talked about, I mean, maybe.
It's something we don't see.
Yeah.
It's something we don't see in baseball. This is, as Scott Braun would say, this is a Tuesday in the NBA. And it's really just the guys saying out loud on a microphone recorded what they say in the clubhouse. And if you think the Dodgers are the only team that says stuff like this is what the guys are talking about. And to me, this is where you sell the game. Chris Taylor shouldn't be chastised for saying what he said. This is just an opportunity to let fans get a little bit closer to what's going on. What's the psyche of the players?
Yeah, I'm with you there. More trash talk, more drama, more NBA-style rivalries, more personalities. The game needs all of it. But do we need shows? I don't think so. Coming up, we're going to take you to a little show in Seattle. Washington versus Arizona at 9:40 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the MLB free game of the day, streaming on the BetMGM app. Live streaming is available to all BetMGM customers who are logged in and have funded accounts. So check that out, the free game of the day. Let's get a little update here on Thursday's picks, Thursday's locks. Alana Rizzo hosted yesterday. That was a no. Kratz struck out as well. AJ Pierzynski got his lock. Got his pick on that Atlanta-Philly game there. So, need to be a little bit better there, Kratz. Need to get off that schneid.
Yeah, it's kind of been where I'm at, but that's why today is a new day.
I said that before this next screen. Down $905. Ooh, yikes.
Wait,
Alana Rizzo
where's
down
mine at?
135.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, where's Todd?
But see, I'm way up in the green, and I don't know why it's not on there.
Yeah, why didn't they show it? You know what?
Right,
they didn't want to hurt Kratz's feelings and show Todd up like 900, Kratz down 900. We like to make everyone feel okay on this show. That's why we haven't really commented on Erik's mustache. Oh, wait, we have.
Britt, I played in the minor leagues. I have no feelings left. I'm dead inside.
I'm dead inside. Oh, gosh. You didn't even play in the era, really, of the social media like now. I think it'd be a lot worse to play now than,
You're not wrong.
It's a lot worse now. Liam Hendriks, who we just talked about, who has the injury, the first thing that came to mind with Liam Hendriks was recently when he got like death threats and stuff because he had a bad outing, and him and his wife both took to social media. So, I think you have to be a little either dead inside or just like totally like Pete Alonso in the woods, no service anywhere to kind of zone out what everyone is saying. Unfortunately, nowadays, that's what it feels like if you're going to be a player, right? Don't Google your name.
You know what?
Don't Google anything.
You know what? You struggle sometimes, just like I've struggled with my locks, but today is the turnaround that I've been looking for. I'm putting 100 down on my guy Matt Olson to just get over 1.5 bases. I think it's coming out at plus 125. He has good history against Giolito. Get it done, Olson. Get it done.
All right, guys. This last night, bottom of the sixth, J.P. Crawford explodes after a ball outside the zone was called a strike. Apparently, he's never acted like this before, is what some of the Seattle announcers were saying. Not super thrilled. Of course, everyone pays to see the umpires, right? Not the players at all in these kinds of games. I mean, it is wild. Lopez was yelling at Andy Fletcher after a strike that was not called. This was in the Nationals Mariners game. It feels like there's been more ump shows this year than in prior years. I don't have any like special data on that, but I'm curious what you guys think about this. JP Crawford, not a guy who goes off a lot.
No, and I feel like Andy Fletcher's been on here a lot, Kratz. I don't know. I feel like he's in the background, arguing with guys going out there. I don't know. That pitch was really a bad call, and you got to own up to that one. And he was furious. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you're losing, and it's frustrating. And then all of a sudden, you get an argument here from the pitcher on a pitch for Lopez. These guys have been around the block. I mean, what is going on? You got to lock in just a little bit better. You just have to lock in.
Yeah, when both teams are arguing, Rowdy's like, "Oh, I'm just asking. It's part of the flow of the game. It's part of the opportunity for human error, like Todd loves. But we can take this out for the egregious ones. Like right there, Rowdy was just asking. It looked like Rowdy was just asking, was that as far as you go? Because of how he and then you saw Fletcher, you saw him kind of jaw back at him, and Rowdy's like, whoa. Like, I might not be one of the ones that's on him. I think Rowdy knows it's close. He's like, okay. He's like, no, I'm just asking. He's like, well, I'm just telling you. And that's when the game gets a little bit too fast for the umpire. You even saw when JP got pissed, he's like, oh, you spit on my face. You spit on my face.
Yeah, come on.
So is that going to you just feel too much emotion in it because you mess up. If we had to answer to every one of our strikeouts as players, like if we struck out and somebody would argue that we struck out to us, you're sitting there going, I made a mistake and somebody's arguing with me. How am I supposed to control my emotions? But the umpires have to do that. And Fletch didn't have a great game yesterday. It's just, it happens.
You're right.
Yep. Yeah, there's his scorecard for the day. Not quite as terrible, but he did have a couple impactful missed calls, as you see there. I think you look at this, the called strike accuracy, not great. 6 of 41 called strikes were true balls. 6 of 112 called balls were true strikes. So not the best night for Andy Fletcher, who also made it about Andy Fletcher. Nationals win 9-3 in that game. The Nats have had a nice little run here in their last, I want to say 12 or so games. They were 7-3, I think, last night, makes them 8. They're in that 8-3 range. They've had a nice little stretch as well. But Guys, I gotta say, the umpire thing to me, the robo-umps can't come soon enough. Some of these guys just like make it about them. Umpiring is a great gig. Do you realize how good of a gig umpiring is, Todd? Todd, why are we doing this to Todd? What do you got, Todd? You don't like
I don't like
Yeah.
anything that starts with robo at all. I want umpires to be there, but I like the checking the striker ball. I don't want umpires ever to leave. I love the human element, and I will stand by that. I don't want anything electronic. That is a strike one. No, we want umpire. We want arguments. We want yelling from the dugout. That's baseball, man. We don't want to lose any of that.
All right, fair
Sorry.
point. But some of these guys,
But listen, I respect it. I respect it. I do. But I want the missed calls and guys be like, oh, check, and then they get it wrong, and then they, we'll see how accurate they are after that.
And the one thing you said, Britt, being an umpire, it's a pretty good gig. I'm going to go against that. One, I got no desire to be an umpire. Two, their travel schedule sucks. Three, it's who's calling you and being like, great job today. Like, great job. You just did an amazing job. Maybe like 3 or 4 people. Your mom, your dad, your wife, your girlfriend, like that's it. That's all who's calling. Like, it is a thankless job, and everyone's like, whoa, they get paid a lot of money. They get paid a lot of money to live in a hotel and fly on. They're not flying private jets. They're flying commercial flights. And so they finish a game in Seattle and they have to get to Milwaukee the next series. They're getting up at 6 a.m. to fly across the country. It's not, I don't think it's a great gig.
Total disagree. For those of us who aren't players, they make a lot of money to work from 6 o'clock. They get there an hour before the game, 6 o'clock till whenever the game ends. They never speak to the media. They have a great union, great benefits. They only work during the season. Say they maybe do a little spring training. But look, there's a reason why people work their whole lives to be big league umpires. It is a good gig. I'm going to disagree. It's not as good as being a player, which the two of you are, but it pays a little bit better than being a Major League Baseball reporter like myself, who is at the stadium. I mean, they're getting to the stadium like the same time Pete Alonso's getting to the stadium, it seems like.
That's
Just
fair.
kidding. Pete will be there for BP, I'm sure. Thanks for joining us, Pete.
That was a good laugh.
All right, guys. When we come back, Ken Rosenthal, who always has his ear to the ear to, I don't know, the field, the stadium.
Hey, Britt.
Ken will give us the latest.
Britt, it's a nightmare. Okay, it's a nightmare.
A nightmare of a gig.
My people of FT, my boys at the FT desk, what's happening? It's your boy Parlay Pap today, coming to you. Today's kind of a tough bet for me, but I'm going with the Padres, and I'm also going with the Orioles, and we're going to parlay them together in the money lines. But it's plus 118, and we're going to put 100 on it. But I really like Pivetta, man. He's been pitching lights out lately, so I'm going with the Padres, and the Orioles, man. I feel like the Orioles have got to get on some kind of winning streak here and at home. So, because they have been playing well, so I feel like now's their time. So I'm going with them in the parlay. Let's get that cheese.
Wow. I want what Pap's having in the morning to get going. Todd, what do you got for this lock? Hopefully it's not a nightmare.
No, it's not a nightmare. It's late at night, but there's no mirror involved. Maybe a beer, but not a nightmare. Anyway, I'm going Yankees money line. I'm going Max Fried. He's having a really good season. He's going to kickstart that Yankee squad, and he's going to put up a goose egg there for about 6 or 7 innings for the Yanks. They're going to win money line minus 120, 360 to win 300.
How you say nightmare?
But please stop.
Say it. Say it for me.
I can't.
Nightmare. Mayor.
M-A-R. You say it like a meerkat.
It's
like a bear. Mare. Oh, God, I can't.
Nightmare. Oh, all right, guys. BetMGM is the best place to bet the long ball. Grab the MLB Home Run Boost token to find out why. Just activate your token when you bet on any player to hit a home run in any MLB game. Here is that Boost token to score a bigger payout. If that player goes yard, guys, you get a bigger payout. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. At that. And Rosenthal, soon. All right, Ken Rosenthal. Ken, I thought you were going to be in the car. You really can clone yourself. There are two of you. I've known it for quite some time. There's no way someone can get as much work done as you are. This is your clone.
No, it's actually me, Britt. And what I thought would happen was being in LA that it would take forever to get to the hotel, but I got to the hotel, so we're good.
Awesome.
Private jet.
Thanks for joining us.
Private jet.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I borrowed
Ken,
AJ's
real quick.
for this week.
Real quick, Ken, a previous argument between Kratz and I. Do you think MLB umpires have a good gig? I say yes. Kratz said no because they don't get on private jets, which is such a player thing to say.
It's a hard gig. It's a stressful gig. I know they are paid reasonably well, not like players, but paid reasonably well. But I don't know that I would want that job. To me, that's
Thank
a
you.
no-win job. No one ever says, hey, great job. It happens rarely now, but not for me. And it has nothing to do with a private jet versus commercial. We're all accustomed to, well, not players, but most of us are accustomed to flying commercial, and that's fine. It's the gig itself that's hard.
Ken, you are in LA, Yankees coming into town. What a beautiful time it is, a renowned rivalry. You talked a little bit about the Yankees and how they had a couple needs in the offseason and what they wanted to prove, especially, the way they hit against left-handed pitching. Talk a little bit about that and talk a little about, on the other hand, about athletes and how athletic they are, and they want to move them to the middle of the field. Talk about Jazz Chisholm. Why are they making him go to third base in a rehab assignment?
All right. Well, first of all, left-handed pitching, because that is interesting. You would think that last year, as good as their offense was, they'd be good against lefties, but they really weren't 12th in the league in OPS against lefties. And they brought in Goldschmidt with the idea that he would help. Now, it turns out Bellinger, left-handed hitter, is hitting lefties too. And Aaron Judge is ridiculous against lefties. His OPS is something like 1.600 right now. So they are doing a better job against lefties, and that was one of the things that they came out of the World Series last year thinking, okay, we need to fix that. We need to get more athletic. We need to get more strikeouts out of the bullpen, and they really have accomplished a lot of this, even while losing Juan Soto, even while losing Garrett Cole. Now, as for Jazz, it seems to me that when you have a player like him, who is athletic, you want him in the middle of the diamond. That's generally where the best athletes play, in the middle of the diamond. No disrespect, Todd. But in the Yankees' case, DJ LeMahieu is comfortable at second, and they know Jazz can play third because he did that last year, and a pretty good job of it as well. So he is on his rehab assignment playing third base. The expectation is that he will be their third baseman when he comes back. And one of the thinking, or part of the thinking here, is that they don't know if they'll be able to trade for a third baseman. They may only be able to trade for a second baseman. So if DJ LeMahieu doesn't pan out, because of course he hasn't played much in the last couple of years, and they want to get a second baseman, then they can keep Jazz at third. This just increases their versatility. They can go any number of ways.
This is obviously the matchup of the Dodgers getting drunk after they won and talking on Mookie Betts' podcast. As a writer, when you go in, do you go in and you're like, all right, normally I have one microphone that I'm recording stuff on. I'm going to take two. Or do you feel like this is something that is completely under the bridge, like water under the bridge? Nobody's even going to really bring it up from a player's standpoint.
I don't expect to hear anything about that. And Chris Taylor, of all people, is maybe the most mild-mannered guy in the sport. So for him to say what he did was really surprising. And maybe they were a little bit enhanced chemically at the time. I'm not meaning steroids, I'm talking about alcohol. So I just don't expect there to be much of that this weekend. It's not even June yet. Actually, it will be by the time the series is over. And it's early in the season. This is a regular season series. As for bad blood or anything like that, Judge put it best. He said, listen, they beat us. They beat us, you say what you want. And whether the Yankees have long memories about it, that shouldn't be what they're worried about. They should be worried about playing to the best of their abilities, which is something they did not do in the World Series.
Ken, you had in your notes column the other day that Seattle could be an interesting team to watch at the deadline. They have the game's best farm system, according to Keith Law. Jerry DiPoto, as we know, has it in him to be very aggressive. What do you kind of see them doing? I know it's still early, but we are kind of getting to the point where teams are drilling down and underlying names and they're making phone calls. What could you see Seattle realistically doing with a lot of that prospect capital?
They seem to be the one team that has a great need at first base. I believe they're 29th in the league at OPS at first base, or 25th, something like that. It's not good. It's down there. So that could be one area that they need to address or try to address. Right field is another, though they have Luke Ghiroli coming back and maybe Victor Robles toward the end of the season. They still could use more offense, and their pitching is getting healthier now. Kirby's back, not consistent yet. Logan Gilbert working his way back. Bryce Miller will join them. So I can see them going out and getting a first baseman or a corner outfielder. I don't know that they will need to trade one of their best prospects for that kind of player. Depends who it is, of course. But the reason I wrote the item I did today was because they do have, as you said, Britt, this amazing group of prospects. Really, many of them are middle infielders. So if they wanted to trade one of them, they could probably get something pretty good. And I thought, well, the Mariners, they don't spend much money. Maybe they won't want to trade prospects. But no, my understanding is they've done this before. They did it to get Luis Castillo, and they did it to get Randy Arozarena. They will not be afraid to do it again.
Talking about trades, I want to go back to the Dodgers and Dalton Rushing. We talked about it when they called him up. I felt like it was a bad move. Scott felt like it was a good move to replace Barnes with Rushing. But to me, you have a prospect in the minor leagues not playing, and now he's up in the big leagues and he's hit a small sample size, 250. Do you believe that there's a possibility that the call-up kind of shows, hey, we'll trade you a big leaguer instead of just a prospect, and that could have been part of the reason why they brought Dalton Rushing up?
I don't believe it is, Erik, after asking some people about this. It's kind of an easy interpretation, a logical interpretation to think just what you said. This guy's going to be their trade piece. But they designed their team so they would not need to overpay at the deadline. So they're not going to trade Dalton Rushing for a 1-year starting pitcher or even a 2-year starting pitcher. They're not going to trade him for a position player of any kind unless it's someone of comparable service and ability. And the whole thing is they don't expect to need starting pitchers or position players. They need a right-handed reliever, and they got one yesterday in Alexis Díaz. And that can be an ongoing thing. We'll see where they end up with that. But Rushing, in their view, is a guy who is going to give them the ability to rest Will Smith, who has had trouble in the second half the last couple of years. He's been really good again in the first half. Now they can rest him more. Rushing has an offensive capability that most catchers don't have, quite frankly. And next year, if Michael Conforto leaves as a free agent, they can maybe even put Rushing in left field, though they'll be reluctant to give up on him as a catcher. So I don't see him getting traded. And if anything, he is going to be part of their teams going forward.
I want to ask a little about prospects. No, it's not a prospect. He's been around for a long time. Craig Kimbrell. He has a 1.54 ERA in AAA. There's been word about David Robertson too as well, maybe going to a team. Is there anybody looking for a reliever? I know there's a bunch of teams out there. I mean, I feel like he could fit anywhere right now with that kind of ERA. I know it's AAA, but think about giving this guy a shot. You never know what can happen.
There are teams looking for relievers, and Arizona comes immediately to mind, and there are others as well. Even Atlanta could use some bullpen help. But For whatever reason, no team has come for Kimbrel yet, and I don't know what his underlying metrics look like. Maybe they're not good enough for teams the way they are evaluating him right now, but he is succeeding at AAA. And for all those people out there, I know what they're thinking. Oh, Craig Kimbrel, he's washed up. He was really good in the first half last year, and I don't know if it was overuse or what. He did collapse in the second half. The Orioles did release him, but he kind of proved in the first half he could still be a high-quality reliever. So I would expect at some point some team is going to contact his camp and say, listen, we're ready to bring him to the big leagues right now. And at that point, because he has a rolling opt-out, the Braves will have the ability either to bring him to the majors or to let him go. And at some point, I would think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I'd like to see him pitch again. Hopefully he'll get another chance. Relievers are so cyclical, so we'll see what happens. Ken, thank you so much for the time. Have fun at the series. Sure to be a good one. A big, huge series, right, Kratz? We can't say it enough. Huge series. Dodgers, Yankees. Ken Rosenthal, I'm assuming you have the Saturday game, Ken?
We do, Britt, yes.
Yeah, the Saturday Fox game. Awesome. Thanks so much, Ken. Have a good rest of your weekend.
Thanks, Britt.
All right, guys. We've made fun of Erik, Todd, pretty much the entire show. It's time to finally give him a little bit of credit.
Really?
Let's see it's time to give him a little shine, I guess. Let's see, what do we got for your hat? What's Kratz hats for today?
If that's
We won't
making
make
fun
fun
of
of
me, then I got a Twins hat on. Or wait, nope. I did this before. Maybe it's a Nats hat. Or wait, Britt, it could be a Marlins hat. We don't know. But they told me it's a Twins hat.
Very nice.
Right. Very nice.
Very nice.
Awesome. Well, I don't even know what to say to that.
No, me neither.
I can't say anything mean, so I'm just going to smile. That looks great.
He locks you up. Every once in a while, he'll lock you up, and you just got to figure it out and move on.
Oh, God.
Think about this all weekend, Todd. All weekend. Just think about this the whole time. When someone's talking to you, just think about my mustache.
I'm going to think about you when it's 90 degrees with 90% humidity. I'm going to wonder what you're doing and how all that facial hair is affecting you. You should just get a beard going, too.
I'm cool as the other side of the pillow. I'm sweating like Jose Alvarado at a drug test.
That's a nightmare.
Goodness.